In this insane seller's market, hotcakes wish they were selling like homes right now, and agents are trying bold and creative strategies to find homes for their buyers who are consistently up against multiple offers in highly competitive bidding situations. One of these creative approaches is finding a home for your buyer that's not yet on the market, but where the owner might consider entertaining an offer. I'm Will Gray, and that's what I'm here to help you with today on the Title Insurance Experience. Today, we're going to look at 3 different ways to search for prospective sellers that don't involve looking at anything you can't see from public record. That means through title, these are free. You won't have to spend any money on these lists, and you can get to prospecting right away. We'll look at conventional next sellers who are near the sweet spot in time of ownership for home sellers in that neighborhood, out-of-state owners, and potential empty nesters. You can run these searches through any title portal or contact your title rep for help. But the portal that I'll be using and referring to is Fetch by WFG. It's a great way not only to get net sheets and property profiles, copies of documents quickly, check out farms, but also to run searches like this at really just a couple of clicks of the mouse. If you do use Fetch to run these searches, you'll have the property information and the mailing address for free, and you'll also have the option to purchase phone numbers and email addresses for just pennies per record. If you don't already have an account set up, I'd suggest heading over to will4title.com/getfetch. You'll find a form there where you can put in the information that we would need to set up an account for you, and we'll get you going right quick. Next Sellers is admittedly a pretty optimistic name for a farming search filter, but it has proven effective in increasing the odds that the homes on the list are the next homes to go to the market. It's a very simple search. First, the system will calculate the average time of ownership, length of stay, the amount of time that someone tends to hold on to their home in that farm before deciding to sell. For example, say homes in that neighborhood tend to sell after being owned by the same person for 9 years. With that information, the system puts a window around that time of ownership of 1 year before or after. So in our 9-year example, we'd be looking at homes that have been owned between 8 and 10 years. And generally, it's a pretty small proportion of the neighborhood. It's a great way to narrow down the area into those people who are right in that itch cycle, right in that sweet spot, and really worth door knocking or giving a call on the phone to see what their thoughts are on selling if they get the right offer. Next, we'll take the show on the road and look at not just absentee owners, but in fact, out-of-state absentee owners. The next seller list is pretty narrow. Most of the time, these out-of-state lists are going to be even more narrow, but they can be valuable contacts. The criteria, obviously, anyone with a mailing address outside of California for their California property. Why are these so valuable as seller leads? As we know from experience, even from inside California, it can be hard to keep track of what's going on with our crazy real estate market and with the changing laws that affect property taxes and everything related to being an absentee owner, being a landlord with property in California. So it's got to be even harder from out of state to really keep a finger on the pulse. And these owners probably need someone who has boots on the ground here and a perspective from the trenches to let them know what the changes are, let them know how it's going to affect them now, and take a look at the direction that things seem to be going in with relation to the laws being passed, the political attitude, and the direction of our real estate market. You'll also have a great local perspective on the competition, new apartment buildings and new homes being built in the area. You'll be able to help them think through what their home's value is likely to do in the next few years. and even physically check on the outside of the property if that's something that they feel like they need. And if any of these factors make them think that it might be the right time to sell, you've positioned yourself well as the agent who can help them get the best price for their home and get a great deserving family into that property. Last, we'll look at empty nesters. This one is a little more specific to the right area and the right property type, but it's a fantastic search to find someone who might be ready to sell their home. The criteria is actually pretty simple. We're going to look for any home that's 3 bedrooms or more that's been owned by the same person for 30 or more years. Those 2 items are the defaults of the empty nester filter in Fetch, but I always recommend adding the occupancy filter because empty nester is really only relevant when we're looking at owner occupants. The idea is obviously that these are people who moved into family homes, and the children that they moved in with are now most likely grown. Of course, we are talking about my generation, millennials, as these kids here, so the fact that it's been 30 years might not mean that it's actually an empty nest. Because people who have owned their home for 30 years or more have a good chance of being 55 years or older, they might also be interested in the changes that Proposition 19 brought to property tax base portability. Namely, they'll be able to move their tax base now anywhere in the state up to 3 times, and they can even use it to apply partially to the value of a more expensive home than the one that they're in right now. And when they do sell with you, they'll also be eligible for WFG Title's 25% senior discount, saving them hundreds of dollars on their closing costs. Thanks for watching. I know this has been a short edition of the title insurance experience, but hey, it's time for you to get prospecting. And if you need any help with Fetch or you want to brainstorm other farming or data ideas, hit me up, will4title.com/contact. Until then, it's WG from WFG signing off.